Hi, I'm Norma Rohan and you're very welcome to our farm here in Angrove, just outside Mount Rat in County Laois.
And I'm Norma Rohan, General Manager of Embrace Farm.
We're predominantly dairy farmers here with a small bit of tillage. We're milking 165 cows. We're autumn and spring calving. And my grandfather bought here in 1934 and we got into cows in 1975, and myself and my brother are running the farm since Dad died in his accident. He was working in the shed here behind me, taking a single rotor rake apart that there was something need to be fixed on it, and the sort he was, if it wasn't 100% you don't go to the field, so he was working on the rake when it came apart sooner than expected. He got a blow to the side of the head and created bleed in the brain, and he was rushed to Tullamore Hospital, where we were left with no option but to switch off life support 3 days later. Silage was just done, we're getting ready for second cut. We were milking the cows, the breeding season was going ahead, so as you can imagine it was fairly busy, and with all farms you can't just put a sign on the gate to say we're closed due to an accident or bereavement. So we were blessed with good neighbours and friends that came in and helped us run the farm for the few days. We had a new baby, Julie was born inside, she was only a week old at the time as well, so it was a busy place and we were blessed with the support we got from our neighbours and friends. But after that then you're going back to working the farm yourselves on your own, doing the things that you would have done with Dad weeks and months before that. Yeah, I suppose when it happened we felt we were the only family ever lost somebody in a farm accident, but unfortunately Dad was one of 21 that were killed on farms in 2012, a particularly very bad year. Even one loss of life on a farm is too many. But we saw where suicide victims were remembered on an annual basis, and we said we'd do that ourselves as well for farm accident victims, and also those people that survived farm accidents, they deserve to be remembered as well. So that's where it came about, and we didn't realise how many people would be in touch, but we now support over 600 families through our organisation.
It is something where all the families come to, whether they're kind of newly bereaved with 6 or 8 months, or even 15, 20 years down the road. While they may know of Embrace Farm and they may have their loved one remembered each year and the roll call of names, sometimes it can take that long for people to face into coming. And this year alone we had somebody who was 21 years bereaved by the time they were able to face into coming. Last year there was 2 families there, they were 12 years and 14 years bereaved before they were able to face into coming. One woman mentioned to me about it was her adult son who had died, and she had 5 other adult children as well at the time, and they were getting on with their lives and they were getting married and having families, and sometimes she felt guilty for grieving her son that had died. But she said the day for Embrace Farm at the remembrance service, that was a day without guilt, and that was a day for him. And like she'd celebrate her other children's birthdays or whatever it would be, but she also had this day as well to celebrate him. Another family who were kind of scattered around the country would use the day at Embrace Farm, the remembrance service, to connect with each other. One of them was living out foreign and they would come home, and it would be a get together for the family for that weekend to remember their little sister who had died many years ago. So like the remembrance service, that's one aspect of what we do. There's many more. We provide consultations with legal and financial succession. We refer out to psychotherapists around the country if you're in difficulty emotionally and want to try and process that trauma of what you've seen, when your loved one has died. And I guess over the 13 years that we have been here with Embrace Farm, we've expanded to supporting farm families with all types of sudden death, whether that be a farm accident or a suicide or a sudden medical death, or a life-changing injury or medical diagnosis.
Yeah, we never thought it would get as big as it is, but look, we've met families in the depths of despair. And from the families that we met first, they were meeting children aged 8, 9, 10 to meet them now at the remembrance service, or we had to stand at the plough match, and they'd often come into us, and to see how they've matured into fine young men and women. It's great to see that we've been some bit of a help on their journey. We've talked about families that have been years on the journey, and one of the oldest women that were there in 2014, she was 93 or 4, and her husband was killed in 1957, leaving her with 10 children. And she came to thank me before she went home that day, and I said there was no need to say thanks, but she says it was the first time I got to publicly acknowledge my husband was killed in a farm accident.
Yeah, and everybody's family from one family to the next is different. Their story is different, their circumstances are different. So it's not like we have a prescriptor of what we'll do. It depends on what that family brings to us, what their story is, what their needs are. It could be a widow just trying to get from one day to the next. It could be a bereaved parent trying to get from 1 hour to the next. Everybody has a different story and a different set of circumstances. And the first thing we'll do is listen.